Hey, welcome back to the Rob Review. If you're returning, if you're brand new, welcome to a show where you have a friend in success here with me. I'm Robert Morris, the host of the Rob Review. If you're watching us on television, stay tuned. We're about to break down some really important breakthroughs that I've had in my life over the past couple of years that have helped me achieve what I want to achieve. If you're watching online, if you're watching on YouTube, follow along and make sure that you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so that you can get notified of new content if you find it helpful. And if you find it helpful, leave a comment, email me. We'll talk about that more later. But right now, I want to break down for you, over the next 15 or so minutes, what I call the big three. This is something where you don't just want to passively listen, guys. As you hear what I'm saying, you want to either record this or know that I'm going to post it on YouTube later and go back and watch it, or just take notes, because what I've learned over my life is that even if you don't know how something is going to apply to your life right at that moment, if you're actively trying to learn, you can take notes on it anyway. And the act of writing it down both imprints it in your mind, but also opens your mind's eye up to things that you may not have thought about. And then you may see where it can apply in a way that you would have never thought possible. So don't just passively listen. Take notes. Write down the big three. What is a big three? It sounds like some, overly pacified, hippie, motivational mumbo jumbo, and it's not. I'll tell you a story to illustrate the point. My entire life has been about trying to achieve a few things for myself, financial freedom being one, and just being what I considered to be wealthy. And then also being able to determine my life and my future by way of being in control of my time. That's what my whole life has been about, not just adult life, young life, guys. I specifically remember at 11 years old, I decided I wanted to be wealthy. And I've worked at that ever since. No exaggeration. I didn't speak affirmations into the air every day, although those may work. Affirmations are something that's a gray area for me. No, I grinded. I got off my butt and did something every day. And when I got kicked, I got back up. And that's why I'm able to stand before you today. I feel like a greater man than I have ever been. Growing every day, challenging myself every day. And the big three is part of that. And it's part of that in a big way. Get it? Here's what the big three is. I spent my entire life trying to figure out how to achieve things. And through achieving things, you read a lot of books on goal setting, right? And goal setting can get really, really complicated. And all these gurus have written all these books about it. And they make you feel like that is the way that you've got to go if you want to achieve and set goals. You got to do it this way, as stringent, only by the book. And so I failed at setting goals in so many different areas because I was trying to keep track of so many different things until I finally found a formula that worked for me. Again, this is what worked for me. I probably didn't invent it. Somebody out there probably uses it and calls it something different. But if it helps you, then good. If it doesn't, take it, tweak it, and apply it. Just do something with it, because life is too short to be frustrated. The big three starts with, for me, my big three pieces in life that if I have in place, I consider myself successful. Because if you didn't know this or not, you are the only person that can define your success, gang. Excuse me, nobody else. And you run into problems when you let other people define it. So what is your big three? For me, I consider myself wealthy and happy and successful if I have these things. If I have my health, if I have family, and if I have freedom. And I know I do a financial show, so you would think one of them would be wealth, but watch, it'll all fall in line in a second. So for me, ladies and gentlemen, if I have a happy, healthy family, if I'm healthy myself, and if I've got my freedom, I'm successful, okay? I'm supercharged. I'm happy Robbie. The big three is more than just a number. It's a definition of what each of those things mean to you. What does a happy family mean to me? What does healthy mean to me? What does freedom mean to me? And when you define those things in some kind of manner, written out on a piece of paper, then you understand what you're going after, and that is when the game changes for you. So how do you define? Well, look, it's a gray area. Don't be stringent with it. Make it work for you, but I'll give you my definition of my big three so that you can understand kind of what I mean by defining it. For me in life, guys, and I've thought a lot about this and spent a lot of time redoing this. Just because you do it once doesn't mean it's set in stone. It's not the commandments. It is your life. It's flowy. It's changeable. It's bendable and malleable to your liking. And it's changed as I've grown and gotten married and changed what my life's supposed to be about. And so, you may find freedom in one thing and then change your idea of freedom later. See, my idea of freedom used to be freedom to do whatever I wanted to, whenever I wanted to, when I wanted to the degree I wanted to, spending whatever amount of money I wanted to. There's a lot of I's, right? I'm not that kind of person anymore. See, my big three is now cohesive because it's defined in this manner. I consider family and my success in family a part of my freedom because I consider having family time and having the ability to raise my family the way that they want to be raised and leave them with the financial stability that I want them to have so that they can pursue the things that they want to. I'm successful. And I want to be free in the sense that I can spend time to teach, grow, and be with my family and make sure that I am the dad and husband that I need to be, defined by me. And the health piece is simply, I want to be able to provide for myself the best health care that I can afford and need to be the person that I need to be for my kid, to be healthy for my kid, to be healthy for my wife, to be fit and mentally there, and to be able to lead them, I have to stay healthy. And to be able to stay healthy, I have to be able to afford the health care I need. And to be able to stay healthy, I also have to be able to make health a priority by allotting time to that. So the freedom piece, the time and the money, allows me to stay more healthy and allows me to provide for my family and be the leader I need to be there and be the person I need to be there. So it's a cohesive unit. I define my success in 3 prongs that fit together. Does that make sense? I really hope it does. And so my success is ever flowing. I'm constantly working towards that. But I can only know that I'm successful if I'm working towards those things and I see myself getting closer. So I've defined where I want to go. I define what it means when I get there and what it's going to look like. And so now how does the big 3 help me get there? It allows me to break it down in 3-year increments. I know from now until 2023 what I'm doing to get to where I want to be. And then at 2023, I'm going to evaluate how close I am, whether I surpassed my desires and achievements, or whether I hit the goal. Right now, as I'm tracking, I'm going to surpass them. And so when I get to 2023, if that still has happened, I'll reevaluate based upon what I want to do for the next 3 years. Now, I take time to do that. And I only do that in a small setting where I can get away from the world. And now this is just me. You can be whatever religious persuasion you want to, but for me, when I set like a 3-year time frame for my life, I take a lot of time and think about it. And I write down a lot of things and evaluate every aspect of my life and where I'm at, and what I want to keep, what I want to get rid of, what I want to have more of, what I want to have less of, all those things. And I do that best for me because of my belief in God when I feel like I'm close to Him and I'm in prayer with my God, right? And so it's at the beach for me. The past couple of years it's been in the mountains for me, where I'm in a cabin, quiet, away from the world with my wife. And while we're enjoying time together, she might not know this, but I'm thinking about our future. And I'm thinking, how do I achieve what I want to achieve to help her achieve what she wants to achieve? And how do we work it all together? And so my big 3 gets written down, usually first on an index card, of what I want to achieve over the next 3 years. And then I take it down and break the 3 years into a year. And what I love to do is keep my year goals with me all the time. And I've got a wallet, and so more importantly than my money in my wallet is my goals. I try to keep no more than 1 sheet of paper, but I fill it up with goals front and back for my year, okay? And some of them are month by month, and some of them are like a certain dollar amount I want to have in a particular business, and some of them are as simple as I want to make 20 videos for the Rob Review by January, you know? But every one of them, guys, gets me closer to my 3-pronged goal at the end of the year, in 3 years, and down the road where I want to be when I finally kick the bucket, okay? And that's my thought process on goals. And I have tried a lot of systems out, and I have finally figured out a system that works for me. Now, how does this year break down? How do you not go crazy trying to achieve all those things in a year? Well, it's all about simplification for me. Really, my life's busy enough, hectic enough as it is. I'm sure yours is too. I don't want to add stuff to it that's going to make it harder for me to get to where I want to get to. And so I get a notebook like this pretty much every year, or if I write more, 6 months. And every single week, before the Sunday is over, when everything's quiet, I'm writing down what do I need to achieve that week based upon my schedule and my time, my schedule and my time, same thing, my money, everything that's going on that week with me and Brittany. What do I need to achieve that week to get me closer to my year goal? Okay. Then that week breaks down into days. Every evening, just like when I get done doing this Rob Review right here, I'm going to write down in this book what I want to achieve tomorrow on Friday to get me ready for Saturday, that gets me ready for ultimately taking care of the whole week and looking at next week on Sunday. And now things come up, things get in the way. I understand that, you understand that. So be flexible, but hold yourself accountable. You don't just want to be willy-nilly with it. If you don't achieve something, figure out why. And if you do achieve something, reward yourself. In the beginning, I rewarded myself in little ways, just to program this subconscious guy up here to want to go after those things and grind every moment I had a chance to get closer to where I wanted to be. Now, as I'm writing those things down, they're not arbitrary. And a lot of times, there are things that get left out. So how do you know what's important? What needs to be left out? What needs to be kept? Because you can't achieve everything. Ultimately, for me, it goes back to, does this get me closer? And is this the fastest, simplest way to get to where I want to be in 3 years? If it doesn't, no matter how much I want to see it happen, I put it away. And I have faith that one day God's going to take me back around to it if He wants me to accomplish that thing. It's pretty simple for me. My whole life, since I have become a more focused individual, since I have gone through what I've gone through and come out the other side alive and healthy, my whole life has been about making my well-being better, making my entirety making my entirety of myself go towards success, but go towards success in the simplest way possible. So if you don't like what I'm talking about, don't use it. Think about this as you go about your business. Are you where you want to be right now? And if you're not, if you keep going the way you're going, are you going to look back on your life in 3 years and wish you had done something to change it? And if any part of you says yes, then it's not going to hurt you to try this. In part 2 of this, we're going to talk about how this applies specifically to your money with the big 3 idea. So stay tuned for part 2. And remember, life's not about how much money you have as you're going towards your goals. Nobody's born with money. No baby ever came out of the womb and they sent out a newspaper article and it said, today, born, 5 pounds, 9 ounces, and a fistful of $100 bills. It's not a reality, okay? It doesn't take money to make money. It takes faith. It takes grinding. It takes work, and it takes putting this into it. So let's get back into the big 3 with your finances. What are you doing with your money right now, guys? Because there's either 2 ways your money can go. In life, either you can control your money or your money can control you. Period. Case in point, lottery winners, okay? How many people have you seen, maybe even you know some, who win the lottery and then a couple years later they're broke. They're worse than broke because they're in debt up to their eyeballs because they spent money they didn't have to supply a lifestyle they never would have had if they hadn't won the lottery in the first place. And I'm saying that to tell you that in life, if you do not control your money and tell it where to go, it can very easily control you and take you to places that you don't want to go to. So whether you want to be wealthy or not, you should think about that. What do you want to do with your money, and what are you doing currently with it? Do you know where every dollar is going? You got to crawl before you can walk. So do not go out there and try to rework all your finances as soon as you get out of this show. Don't do it. You need to take your time. And while you're working your budget and getting it right, may I suggest that you take on a simple challenge with me. A 52-week savings challenge to at least show you that at the end of the 52 weeks, how good it feels to have saved a little bit of everything you earn. You're going to compound the savings up to no more than $52 by the last week. Okay, you saw it on screen. It's $1, then $2, then $3, and listen, follow it to a T. If you've never saved money before, or if you've never saved and kept saving, then don't try to outstretch what you haven't done already. Follow the thing to a T. Even if next week you're looking at that thing and thinking, I can go ahead and save $30. That's week 30, not week 1. Wait and take the $30, set it aside, and every single week put the money into a savings account that you've opened up and you can't touch, and you're just going to put the money in there and forget about it. Don't put it in a coffee can, because if you have bad money habits, you're going to spend it the minute that you need it. Okay. That's how the big 3 can begin to affect your finances, because you can look at it from the big 3 of what you talked about and figured out with yourself in part 1 about what you want to achieve. And then you break it down into, okay, if I want to achieve those things, where does my money need to go? Well, you can't build you can't build on a foundation you haven't laid. So you got to save something first. And once you have gone through a year of that 52-week plan, you've had a year to think about and build up at least that 52-week amount. which comes to a little over $1,000, then you can begin to implement your big three, and you will have figured out, okay, if I want to be financially free, then I need to begin to build assets. So part of that money, if not all of that money, you will put towards some kind of asset. Or if you want to be financially free, but you also want to put away some money for your kid's college fund, then you'll break it up more. The reality of it is, guys, is this savings plan helps you get started with something because it's after taxes. And if you save, here's where the big three really comes into play. If you follow this plan 1 year, you're going to get so into it that you're going to follow it the next and the next and the next. If you follow it for the next 30 years, okay, you've saved well over $30,000. That's substantial. That's money that you can build off of. And no matter where you are in life, if after 30 years you have another 10 or 20 left and you've got $30,000, you can begin to build that into substantial six figures of money to leave behind or to do whatever, okay? That's plan number one. Plan number two of the big three plans that we're going to talk about for your finances is called the 5 multiplier. It's called that because we're taking the plan that we just showed you and multiplying every week by 5. Now stay with me because what you're going to hear in a minute really going to blow your mind, okay? This thing gets to grow really crazy when you start adding those numbers up, okay? Multiplying all that by 5, by the end of the first year, you've got about $5,000, okay? Now that money is separate and away from the money that you have been budgeting and needing and all that stuff. And so you can really begin to build wealth with that because you can afford to risk it because it's money you don't need and have set aside. Now for me, when it comes to options trading, the first account I opened up was $2,500. Now, the kind of stock prices that are current at the time I'm recording this, you can start trading options you can buy enough contracts to start being percentage-wise successful, I believe, at $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 in an account. So if you want to get into the stock market, go for it, or start an online asset. That $5,000, $6,000 can really come in handy. After a year you build it up, you've planned that you're going to have that money. Now you can take that year while you're planning you're going to have that money and learn how to do something like trade, like invest, or like build an online asset. And I can supply you with those educational tools or lead you to a mentor that can help you at therobbereview.com. Rob at the Rob Review. And you can begin to really take hold of your financial future 1 year from the day you start this plan. Now, that's not the cool part yet. Let's talk about big three plan. Number 3, the 10X rule. You ever heard of Grant Cardone? There's a book, the 10X rule or something like that. It's an incredible book. You should go read it. Well, I just took his 10X plan, 10X rule, and 10X my 52-week challenge plan. Now, let me take an aside and say that you got Brittany to thank for this plan because I started dating Brittany. And one of the first things I saw on her refrigerator when I walked into her parents' house is this savings plan I'm showing you now. So a lot of what I'm doing for you now was done by me and first implemented by challenging myself to do that plan. 10Xing this plan, guys, is how you build up substantial money. Now watch this. At the end of 52 weeks, you build up over $10,000. If you start this now and you're in your 30s to 40s, and you do this on this scale for the next 12 years, never touching that money, and instead of just putting it in a savings account, each year putting that $10,000 plus into an IRA, teaching yourself how to manipulate that IRA for a nice 20 to 30% gain a year, which is possible. I have done the numbers $500,000 to $1 million in that IRA. Substantial, life-changing money there, ladies and gentlemen. All started with you 10X in that plan. It's a lot of money for most people. I get it. So the goal here is twofold. To not just save the money and not just start right off at plan 3, but if you've already been working at your money management and at growing your wealth, you've grown some skills and you understand the power of building assets. So if you're going to take on the 10X 52-week challenge, may I suggest you build an asset to begin that challenge with. You don't take it out of your current budget. You build a separate asset away from your current budget. And you 10X the plan. So it goes a little something like this. If you have no money to begin your asset with, I'll close with wrapping it all together. Take plan number 2. 5X plan 1 and save for a year. Learn an online asset building something. I've got a lot of suggestions I can give you. In fact, I can give you so many free tools, it's crazy, okay? Online assets I suggest because anybody with any time frame can build one. Okay, that's the only reason I'm suggesting it. So, you're doing the 5X 52-week challenge. You're saving for a year. During that year, you're learning. By the end of that year, you have capital to start that asset with. You begin building that asset, and somewhere along the way, you're going to hit a level where you know then you can pull money out of that asset to start the 10X plan. And from that point forward, you're building and building and building and building and building. And you are a really happy camper who doesn't get mad at much. And let me tell you, a mentor of mine told me one time, the measure of a man is counted by the size of what makes him angry. Think about that. Now, here's the big finish. You built that asset. You're making weekly contributions to your 10X plan. Did you know, and this is a little bit of stretching your dream a minute, okay? Go read The Magic of Thinking Big. It'll push you. What if you could make that kind of money, not every week, but every day? So every 52 days, you're 10X in that plan, putting $10,000 into an opportunity investment fund, IRA, whatever you want to call it. Now, I know I'm stretching a bit, but if you build an asset and you know you can do it, you're going to grow it to the point where that 10X amount, $520 a day, is doable. I know. Okay. Then maybe you get to a point where you're churning out that asset regularly, $500, $600, $700, all the way up to $1,000 days. Okay. Now just think for a moment what you could do with an asset where you're literally turning out $30,000 a month, $360,000 a year in revenue, and you don't even need that money to live. You see why I do the show? You see why I push the limits? You see why I tell you that money is just a tool? It doesn't have to own you guys. You just got to have a little faith. Remember, God doesn't care about your pocketbook size. He's not checking your bank account for what kind of dream you can afford. He's testing your faith. I'll see y'all on the next one here on the Rob Review. And try out the plan. Start somewhere. Get to work building your dream life.